Hello everybody, my name is Athieno, and welcome back to another Rainbow Six Siege map guide, and today we're going to be looking at Kafe Dostoyevesky. So in rank, the ideal order is that you start off with Cocktail, but you can go with any other site if you want. But what I'm going to be going first is Maestro. So I think Maestro is probably one of the best operators I can show of how to anchor and also roam as well. But in this operator guide, or map guide, I'll be showing you guys mostly Maestro, just because he has rotations and he has everything I can show with one operator. So the first thing I would do is make sure when you're defending Cafe in a map like this, intel is pretty important, as if you need to know where the planter is, where they're pushing it from, because the higher the ranks you go, the more the attackers will eventually get more control of this area and eventually push in. And this is where the refragging starts coming out. So you don't want, as an anchor, you don't really want to get let attackers get too far. Like sometimes they'll be able to like run into here, but otherwise if they keep picking their head, that's where you gotta take the gunfight to them. So as an anchor, most of the time you're just kind of making sure nobody repels in through windows, jump skylight, drop hatches too much, or getting too much like setup control. But you can allow them to drop hatches and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to really contest that too much. But if you're roaming, you want to make sure that you put all your utility down. If you're like a Jaeger, a bandit, make sure you're kind of reinforcing off most of the reinforcements that aren't as close to the site. That way people can set up in sight and not be doing stuff in prep phase. So the main way to defend this bomb site is map control is very important. So early on, if the attackers get control of cigar shop and cigar cigar lounge, it's might be a little bit more attacker side just because they have so much more time. But if you could try to delay some time of contesting this area for about like 20 to 30 seconds, maybe this might be the whole round even. But sometimes you'll have like a shield person playing here with ADSs and Wamais, all that kind of utility to stack themselves up on here. But the main idea when people are attacking, they come through the hatches, the windows, this side of the map, and then they eventually push in through here, and they're trying to stop around or to plant the bomb and pay the post plant. But if you're an anchor, you want to be staying in between the bomb site radius over here. That's freezer, maybe behind one of these bars are here. But most of the time, anchors sit back there or top white, making sure attackers don't rush in through, like I said, the windows, skylight, and basically getting access to the bomb site. And as a roamer, either you're trying to C4 from below, you're trying to delay time, and if you die early on, that's might be okay sometimes, but as a roamer, it's better to waste time than to try to chase your kills. But the way you can delay more time is by holding angles and putting, barbed wire down. And holding angles like this is good and all. Just make sure you're confident in your swing, you're not exposing yourself too much, because you don't want to be a predictable target, or else it's going to be really easy to kill you. That's also a really important thing on this kind of bomb site. The higher the elo you go, the more the attackers will know where you sit. So high in a core like this can only be so good the whole round until you get zoned out and this bridge gets open in your window. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're exposed to a lot of windows and places if you know where the enemies are. So overall, just make sure rotations are important. Right there, that's mostly the main rotation, and also one right there. That way people can swing out, not just this doorway, but they can throw C4s and all that kind of stuff. But you will win a lot of good rounds up here. Most of the time you'll get your first defending round up there. The attacking team plays worse. But moving on to kitchen. So kitchen, you always want to bring a wall denial. Like, it is about like 90% of the wall, 90% of the time. If you don't, you're not trolling. So I'm gonna express Cade, because Cade is probably my favorite operator to play on the site. Maestro is good as well, but Cade is just, there's so many ways. If you ban Thatcher or Cali or Maverick or any kind of wall denial, Cade can be ridiculously strong, if not OP, because Spot, I'm about to show you guys, is really good for countering thermites and almost any kind of hard ratio except for Maverick, unless he does it correctly. Cali cannot destroy this one Cade because it is out of the radius. But if you tend to put it up about half, if you aim a crosshair about halfway up here, and then you put it down, maybe a little higher if you want, but don't put it too close to the wall, but kind of above. Try to stretch the radius. You'll be able to get two of the walls. You can't go above because this whole thing is indestructible and they can't see that through vertically, unless maybe they go over here, but most of the time they're not. Most of the ranked players aren't going to be going through that much. But another one on the other side right here, it works both sides. So really try out this Cade. It is extremely powerful. If you have a bandit, go tell them to put it in the back freezer and then put your other Cade maybe on the hatch or something. But this Cade is extremely strong, and you can also put another Cade right here. But most of the time you want to get these two real walls reinforced, those two, and don't reinforce any of these walls. These are not required, and if not, like, recommended to not reinforce them, because you kind of need all the reinforcements in your inventory. So reinforcing these walls either like kind of make or break the team, but it's all about the team strategy. Up to you guys. So always make sure these walls are reinforced. Sometimes I don't see these walls reinforced just because people just don't forget it, or they think other people are reinforcing other stuff but they're not, and then that's the assumption kind of costs them around. And if you're not doing anything, it takes like 40 seconds to run up and get the hatch. So if you guys have the time, just go do it. You know, you can always go back to whatever you're doing once around the prep phase is over. So if you're roaming on the site, most of the roam, like kind of quote unquote roam potential, is either you're kind of like contesting bakery a little bit, or the small bakery. A really good roam spot is to hold these red stairs right here. That way people jumping in small bakery, you'll be able to swing on them. You'll be able to hold good angles right here. With anybody peeking, that is kind of a free headshot. You're kind of delaying the extent of from bakery over onto the kitchen wall and other places over here. And if you get pressured out, you can run back up here. You can either go upstairs, or because if you go upstairs, you can get a whole line of sight from pillars and decide what you want to do. If people are going above, you can drop down and try to contest that a little bit. But as an anchor, same thing with the upstairs defense. You want to make sure nobody is getting way too close to this kitchen door, pressuring us too much. You can call back the roamers, and also this prep window right here, and holding tight angles. But like an extent, like I said, you don't want to be predictable. You don't want to hold this angle every single time you get shot at it, because if you keep holding this angle, you're gonna get pre-fired. Same with this right here. You don't want to hold like this too much, or else you get pre-fired. But you got to make sure you're able to swing this window passively and aggressively, because you don't want to swing it when you don't need to, and there's no refract potential, and that might be a free kill for the other team. And even if you have C4s and all that kind of stuff, it's really risky to if that bakery wall gets opened, you either want to play behind that kitchen stove and just pray for your life, or you might have to give it up and play the post plant. So the last thing I want to talk about, these two are the kind of similar sites, but what I want to talk about most is, again, delaying time about this bomb site, because when the bomb gets down on this site, it's really easy to retake because of pillars, open area, because most of the time the default plant is going down right here. And if they do get it down, you can retake from many sites. It's all about game sense and playing this game a lot until you know all the the attacker strategies and all that kind of stuff. But people don't really know the main rotates are on this bomb site. One is in laundry right here. The reason why is because if you're stuck in this room and you go into this hallway, you're either exposed to potential attacker areas, especially the white stairs right here, and you're also safe behind this counter if you ever need to come back to site. If you ever need to retake B without coming through this one doorway or the other one, you can also obviously swing from here, but you want to be careful because some people won't be watching it. Information denial is really important on almost every single bomb site, but especially this one. So it's not required, but it's important, because if the attackers don't know where you are, how to read you, it's gonna be hard for them to predict and to execute on you. And that's why delaying the setup is really important, because at the end of the day, because their opportunities get limited once the round goes on. And so good mute placements are kind of like common doorways. But the thing about mute jammers is that you kind of want to use them as a way to not for them to be like an OP spot to stay alive, but you kind of just put on random doorways. Feel free, because in ranked, you know, not everyone's doing like certain roam clears and all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to put them in certain areas, like where you would drone. Like when you try to drone this guy, you can probably put one right here as well. And where I like to play as mute or any kind of information denial is kind of start off in cigar lounge. And once they start punching open your windows, maybe drop them out of the hatch, you can try to pressure them a little bit. That way they have to re-drone you. You can eventually move back and back Now, once they get a lot, like about 75% of top 4 control, either that's where you start taking your gunfights. You kind of hold your ground until you can try to get refragged or something. But a way to make this easier, you can make rotates here as well. In case you need to like move back and forth, just be careful of attacker presence over there. I recommend opening up these hatches if you're playing up here. That way, if they get like push you up for like this far, and then if you're getting outnumbered, you know, just drop down. Because at the end of the day, the bomb site is not up there, it's down here. And then you're supposed to be delaying time up there. You want to do whatever you can to try to delay time. If not, get yourself a pick over there. And you want to make sure these walls are reinforced if you can, because attackers as well can come through different ways and hit you from angles you didn't know about. So the main rotates are basically, you don't really need it necessarily to walk through them, but you need lines of sight into them in case some like quote unquote plant or any kind of attacker presence comes into it. So having lines between sides is pretty important. Otherwise they can rush in here and plant. But you want to get these two as well reinforced as well. And if you're anchoring on the site, you necessarily don't always have to be inside the bomb site. If you ever need to, depending on man advantage, you can be pretty freely. Just because remember, we made these lines in the site, so if we wanted to, we can make this whole second floor our kind of defense, playground area. You can play pillars and other kind of stuff. It's just all about you're able. With the amount of like open areas in this map, you can look for that man advantage or that pick if you ever need to. If you're in like a 3v5, 3v4, you can start looking around and eventually taking some gunfights because of how open this area is. So make sure you're really utilizing your play area and don't always be limited to the one bomb site. No matter what map you're defending, but if it is Kafe, just always remember that your positioning is very, very important. So make sure you're not making the same mistake twice. Don't be exposed to so many angles that you're easy to be killed off of. Play your life, but also don't be baiting your teammates. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a thumbs up. And on a map like Kafe as well, you really need to play the game a lot if you really want to get better at it. You're going to lose a lot of games, but those hard losses will remind you to not make those same mistakes again. So make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you have not. I'll be live on Twitch later today, and I'll peace you guys later.